In conversation with the UK Business and Trade Secretary, Kemi Badenoch. Welcome to India.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And let me first ask you, the spread of the G20 meetings across the length and breadth of the country has made your schedule more hectic, but has it helped you change your perception about India or perhaps get a little more aware about us?
I think maybe more aware. It certainly hasn't changed my impression because it's actually meeting and exceeding what I was expecting. So we had our first meeting in Jaipur, not in Delhi, and it was wonderful because the program that had been presented made sure that we got a very good sense of all of the history, for thousands of years really, and all of the culture. And that's one of the things that you don't always get when you do these ministerial conferences. Sometimes you'll just be in a glass building that looks like you could be anywhere in the world, and that didn't happen this time around. So we really enjoyed it, and the hospitality was fantastic.
How have the bilaterals been?
I had two bilaterals today. They both went very well. The first one was with the finance minister, and the second was with the commerce minister. So it was my first time meeting Minister Sitharaman, and we had a very, very good exchange. And of course, Minister Goyal, I see many times because he is my direct counterpart, and he's the one who I've been working with on the FTA. So we had, gave us lunch, we had a very good hospitality, and we went through some of the opportunities and challenges at the stage of the negotiations that we are at.
I know it's not time bound, but how close are we to an FTA?
Close, we are close. And the way I describe it is that there are many things that need to be resolved. We've closed most of the chapters, but the most difficult areas are always the last ones to be finished. So you end up being close for a long time, but I'm confident that we are going to get a deal.
So is this India-UK partnership alive with opportunity? So
Yes.
Let me plug your campaign in there and ask you that is the trust factor there?
Yes, the trust factor is there. So what Alive with Opportunity is really saying is that an FTA is the beginning, it's not the end. So many people think, oh, we sign an FTA, you put your signature and then you go home. Actually, you need to use the FTA. And what we know from our experience, both in India and in the UK, is that the exporters, the businesses, are not always aware of what the opportunities are going to be. So even before the FTA, after, during, we are going to be bringing trade missions, and we hope that the same will happen on the opposite side, so that people can get familiar with India, learn to understand what the opportunities are and how they can make the most of them.
Yeah. How much of a difference does Chandrayaan make? The moon landing, how much of a difference does that make to the confidence? And does space technology or space collaboration also then get added to the agenda?
It doesn't so much get added to the Alive with Opportunity agenda as it reinforces the view and the understanding that India is the world's 6th largest economy. It is not a place that is going nowhere. It is a place that has arrived and is delivering and is doing fantastic things. It landed on the south side of the moon, which no other country has done. And I think that you need to make sure that those sorts of things are happening so that the people who don't read the press so much, who don't know all the foreign affairs news, they get that sense, they get the perception of what is going on. So that's one of the reasons why it's been so fantastic.
Post-Brexit, has there been a bit of a competition between the Europol and to counter that and keep Britain as an interesting investment destination? Because I know the Tatas have invested there.
Yes.
There are others who you'd want to woo.
Absolutely.
So what are you going to be doing? How difficult or easy has it been? What's been the response?
Well, one of the reasons why we left the EU was not to stop doing business with the EU or to stop trading, but to create more opportunity to trade with other countries in a way that worked for the UK economy. And that's exactly what we are seeing. Leaving the EU means that we are able to change some of the rules to make ourselves more open, more dynamic to investment. And I think the Tata investment is just one example of how that is working.
But India incorporated, India and working, getting towards the FTA, what do you think are some of the hurdles? Or you think there are issues where both nations want to protect their interests? So
yeah, that is right. It happens in every single FTA. And I think the hurdles that I'm trying to overcome are letting sectors know that they are, opening up to competition does not mean you're losing something. The competition benefits everyone. It improves efficiency. It increases innovation. It spreads the area, the access that you're able to cover more, it increases the market access. We want to see more healthy and fair competition, but making sure that those sectors who either feel a bit fragile or are worried, and this is both ways. It's not either any specific country that has this issue. There are sectors in the UK who have these concerns. There are sectors in India that have these concerns. I won't name which ones because I don't want to put them on the spot. But I think making sure that when the FTA lands, people can see that it is of mutual benefit to both countries. That's the real challenge that I'm making sure that I solve.
What's the outlook under your government? Because Britain has seen a little bit of a flux in the last 2 or 3 years, 3 prime ministers who've come and gone. But under Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and with you as part of the team, what's the outlook in engagement with India? How do you see Prime Minister Modi's leadership, the government?
Yes, so one of the things that I think has been very interesting is that this is the first time that we have had a PM of Indian ancestry. Obviously, he's not Indian, but he has some heritage from here, which makes people take a closer look when we're talking about UK-India relations. And yes, while we did have some flux just last summer, we have been very, very stable. We've had a Conservative government for 14 years, and that Conservative government has always been open to India. We've built strong relationships in a way that I don't think any other government would have done, often to criticism from the campaign groups and so on, but actually we see so much potential, we see so much shared links, shared values, shared history with India, and we want to continue building on that. And that's why the FTA is just one of the things that we are doing. We cooperate in many other areas, whether on defense, on investments, talking to other allies. You look at what we do and say in the G20. We work well together, and I believe that we will continue doing so.
From bilaterals to multilateral forums, how does the equation change, Minister? And if we were to look at WTO, 13th Ministerial, are we looking at resolution of disputes and perhaps progress?
That is the #1 agenda for the 13th Ministerial Conference that will be taking place in February at the WTO. It's absolutely critical that we try and resolve this, and we are working with all our partner friends, allies, all of the countries who have a stake in this. The people who really suffer from a lack of dispute settlement mechanism are the smaller countries. So larger countries like India, like the UK, have a really important part to play in order to help deliver a solution.
First right of resources to developing nations is a pitch that India is making. Are you on board with that?
So this is, sorry, I missed that.
First right of use of resources for developing nations, and also a pitch for the global south in terms of trying to give them a priority on resources.
Well, I think that that's something that I would say is Indian foreign policy. It would not be my place to make a comment specifically. But what I would say is that as and when those policies are discussed at WTO, the UK, of course, will look after its own interests, but we have made very many public statements about how we are working to try and help developing countries. And I think that where we can find shared goals, that those will be delivered.
How easy or difficult, final 2 questions, how easy or difficult it is to keep geopolitics separate from business and economics? Or does it come into play? Does it win?
It's easier because we separate them at government level. So it is easy for me because I am the business and trade minister. And while there will be some geopolitics coming into things, and we have it at the back of our minds whenever we are looking at policy, the fact is the conversations that I'm having are strictly about business, strictly about trade. And my foreign minister counterparts do the opposite. So we work well together, we collaborate together. Of course, it means that it can be quite complex, but actually I think so far, if you look at the way that we have managed to resolve issues with very many countries, people need to do business. We can't stop trading with each other. We can't stop investing in each other's countries. And I think that always gives the pull to make sure that we come to a solution.
But conflict is a strong narrative, Russia-Ukraine, is it? To have Russia on the same fora as G20, India engaging with Russia, India engaging with the UK, does that create issues?
No tension whatsoever. And actually, at the ministerial conference yesterday, there was pretty much unanimous condemnation for Russia's activities in Ukraine. I think it's probably more uncomfortable for Russia than it is for any of the other countries sitting around that table. So the world has been quite, has sent out quite a forceful statement together that this is not what we want to see. Conflict is something that we should leave in previous centuries. We shouldn't be carrying on as if it's 300 years ago. And I think that we're getting to a good place in terms of making sure that the countries of the world stand together in order to reduce potential for conflict.
Final question. I think one of the concerns India has had is that financial economic offenders in India who are wanted, they're fugitives and they are operating or they're found on British soil. And plus there are also certain elements who are also operating secessionist activities. Now, has that come as part of discussions? Has India raised this?
So these are things again that get discussed at the foreign ministry. But I am aware of the specific cases that you're talking about. And what I would say is that we do discuss frequently with the Indian government on how we can resolve these issues. Certainly in terms of financial crimes, I think that we have made an extradition order, but government can't interfere with the courts, so we have to see the legal process and the court process through, and then there will be a resolution. But as I say, it's not my specific portfolio, but that is what I know.
What Indian food do you like, and have you learned a little bit of Hindi in the little time that you've been here?
No, I haven't learnt the Hindi. I haven't learnt the Hindi yet. I have eaten lots of biryani, so that's been good. I do quite
Minister,
enjoy
thank you so much for your time. Lovely speaking with you, and hope to see you more often in India.
You.
Thank you.